On March 13th, 2023, just after the noon period, we finally got our two confirmed finalists for the World Test Championship final. Australia had already qualified because of their win in Indore. India had to wait for a result in Christchurch. When New Zealand defeated Sri Lanka by 2 wickets, it was done. June 7th to June 12th, because there will be a reserve day in case of rain, India versus Australia will be the World Test Championship final at the Oval. So, after an arduous 2-year cycle, in this edition of the World Test Championship final, you finally have your two teams, Australia and India. Now, in this video, I am going to explain to you what was India's journey in this edition of the World Test Championship cycle. Remember, there were 3 home series, 3 away series. And that is how I will break down the key moments for India. It is just taking your memory back to how India fared in this edition of the World Test Championship cycle. So, this is your two teams, Australia and India. With this draw now, India potentially might finish at 58.94. This is at the time of this match not been finished yet. But there was only one team who could have made a difference, and that was Sri Lanka. But they have slipped to 48.4 because of a spectacular test match that happened in Christchurch. So, how did India qualify for the World Test Championship final? Kane Williamson hit his 27th test run. And New Zealand won by chasing 285 at the Hagley Oval, which meant New Zealand's victory eliminated Sri Lanka. Because heading into the series, Sri Lanka had a clear mandate. Either the Ahmedabad test ended in a draw or it should have been 2-2. One of that things happened. But this didn't happen because Sri Lanka lost by 2 wickets, and that is why now they have been eliminated from the World Test Championship final race. So, Sri Lanka, because the scoreline needed to be 2-0 in their favour. If it was 2-0, it would have been 61.1 points for Sri Lanka had they won the next test at the Basin Reserve. But unfortunately, that has not happened. Australia versus India in the final of the World Test Championships. That is how it is now confirmed. But how was India's journey in this World Test Championship final? The race. You will argue that it was kind of mixed. Some home dominance, bursts of away dominance, but falling at crucial intervals. So, just to recollect, how was India's 2021 to 2023 cycle? Versus England, that was the first series for them. Away, 5 tests. Versus New Zealand at home, 2 tests. This series would have a bearing in March 2023. South Africa away, 3 tests. Sri Lanka at home in 2022. Bangladesh away, 2 tests. And Australia at home for 4 tests. 3 away, 3 home, 6 test series. This was how India's cycle was. It all began with India versus England. In the aftermath of the World Test Championship final, India were there from July to September. There were hearts broken, but India had to rebuild and recuperate. What happened? The first match at Trent Bridge ended in a draw, but KL Rahul hit a brilliant century at Lord's. And the bowlers, especially Mohammad Siraj and the likes, ensured India achieved only their 3rd win at Lord's in Test history. That was very significant. But England bounced back in grand style after the loss. They bowled India out for 76 at Leeds, and England managed to win that test in spectacular fashion. 1-1 heading into the Oval, it was even Steven. But Rohit Sharma hit a magnificent century at the Oval, and that is why a combined effort from Shardul Thakur and all the other bowlers ensured India had won at the Oval after a gap of over 4 to 5 decades, because that ensured India would not lose the series. But the 5th test changed the entire dynamics. Initially, it was rescheduled due to COVID. Then India came back in July 2022 to play that 5th and final test. But what happened? At that time, the England cricket team were totally reaching their low point under Joe Root's captaincy. 1 year later, a new captain, a new outlook called baseball changed England cricket totally. Johnny Bairstow ensured England chased down 378 in Edgbaston, and it was the highest run chase that England had achieved at that point in time. So India squandered a golden chance to go 2-2 up, to win 3-1. That's why the series ended 2-2. It was a chance missed for the Indian cricket team. India versus New Zealand, 2 test series, Kanpur and Mumbai. Shreyas Iyer starred on debut with a brilliant century, but New Zealand held on for a draw. 9 wickets down, they somehow held on for a draw in Kanpur, and that draw had major issues in March 2023. I'll come to that later. Ajaz Patel took the perfect 10 in Mumbai. He became the third after Jim Laker and after Anil Kumble to achieve this feat. But India somehow turned the tables spectacularly. New Zealand were unable to cope up, and India won by 372 runs to win the series 1-0. But this draw, keep that in mind, had a bigger impact. After the New Zealand series, India went to South Africa. KL Rahul yet again starred, scoring a brilliant century at Centurion. In the course of 1 year, India had achieved victories in 2 of fortresses of their nations. One was Australia at the Gabba. December 2021, December 2022 would be the start of Centurion being whitewashed. So India achieved a brilliant win in Centurion. Another one of South Africa's fortress was breached. But India lost for the first time in Johannesburg, and that Johannesburg test was a significant issue because Virat Kohli had missed that test due to back spasms. So KL Rahul was handed the captaincy, and India lost for the first time in Johannesburg. Then Kohli, as I mentioned, missed the test due to back spasm. India lose the Cape Town test. And with that, the final frontier remained unconquered. But what followed after that was Virat Kohli stepping down as the test captain. It was a shock for one and all. And after South Africa, the Rohit era began. And if you look at it, India versus Sri Lanka 2022, it was very lopsided, except for Virat Kohli's 100th test. Could he have achieved something special? Unfortunately, he didn't. Ravindra Jadeja hit 175 and took 9 wickets in Kohli's 100th test. That was at Mohali. Then in the pink ball test, Jasprit Bumrah took 5 wickets and India whitewashed Sri Lanka 2-0. After that, India were playing Bangladesh away. That was their last away series. And India won in Chattogram easily thanks to Shubman Gill and Cheteshwar Pujara's centuries. But they held on for a 3-wicket win in Mirpur. And Ashwin and Aksar starred with the ball in that series. So India ended their overseas cycle with 2-2, 1-2 and 2-0. So they ended up winning a total of 5 tests, but they lost 3 tests. That was a major drawback for them in this cycle. Whereas you head to the final series, India versus Australia 2023. Ashwin and Jadeja starred with the ball yet again. Rohit, Kohli and Gill hit centuries. Kohli and Gill hitting centuries in Ahmedabad. Virat Kohli spectacularly ending 1,205 days of a drought in centuries. So that's why 186 brilliant runs. The draw, unfortunately, India won in Nagpur, they won in Delhi, but they lost in Indore. And now the match in Ahmedabad is heading to a draw. Now I told you, why was the draw considered very significant in Kanpur against New Zealand? Because the Sri Lanka-New Zealand series ended up in such a way that Sri Lanka needed to win 2-0. Had India won that match in Kanpur, they would not have needed any kind of margin. They needed to win 2 tests against Australia. That's it. They would have qualified for the World Test Championship. They need not have gone into the 4th test also. But that draw in Kanpur ensured that India had to play well until the last test. Sri Lanka versus New Zealand luckily went in New Zealand's favour, and that's why India managed to get through, Sri Lanka eliminated. So in this WTC 21-23 cycle, who are the leading run getters? Cheteshwar Pujara is one of them, along with Virat Kohli. Rishabh Pant, Look at that average, 43.4. It was his knocks during the WTC saga, especially in Cape Town and in Edgbaston, that ensured India were always in the game. But with him now being sidelined for close to a year, it is going to be very, very difficult. Rohit Sharma with 700 runs at an average of 43.7, Jadeja with 37.38. Run scoring wise, it's fine, but look at the averages. That will be a key concern. 32.85, 32.18. Kohli's 186 inflated that average, which was actually languishing closer to 26, 27. So 32 average in the top order does not bode well, but yeah, Rohit Sharma 43.7, that's a good sign. Who has taken the most wickets for India in this edition? Ashwin with 61, but there's a star on it. It could be an ongoing sequence now. Maybe another 2 to 3 wickets, he could end up with more. Bumrah with 45, Jadeja with 43, Shami with 41 and Siraj with 31. Shami, Siraj, in the absence of Bumrah, you could have Umesh Yadav now. These three pacers will be the key in the World Test Championship final at the Oval. Ashwin or Jadeja at the Oval, that remains to be seen. Whether they will play with 4 pacers or 1 spinner or 3 pacers and 2 spinners. The Oval generally tends to produce flat decks. It could break up. India might play 2 spinners. So, after all these months, July 2021 until March 2023, you have seen plenty of action, 22 months, 21 months of cricket where India have managed to win. And that is why now they are in the World Test Championship final. As I said, 5 wins away, 3 losses. At home, if you look at it, much better. They won 5 there also, but there was 1 draw and 1 loss. That is how this World Test Championship summary is. So all set for June 7th. Mark your calendar. It is going to be India versus Australia at the Oval. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tap that bell icon to know when we go live. And don't forget, we are also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe there also. And don't forget to download the Sports Talk mobile app. Thank you.